Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Rocklaz Radio. On today's show, we are going to talk about the land of eternal blue sky, the birthplace of the Mongolian Empire, and on the show, joining us today is a podcaster of the Modern Mongolia podcast, and she's a cultural anthropologist. Welcome to the show to Dorjpagma Bath Sai Khan. Please correct me your name.
Hi, my name is Dorjpagma. You can call me Donna. Everyone calls me Donna, and it's very strange for me to be a guest because it's my first time being a guest for someone else's show, and I'm very quite excited for it. So nice to meet you, Tanmay. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay,
Dorjpagma.
Dorjpagma, Donna. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Donna. Let's go. So, please, could you tell us what exactly is cultural anthropology and what are your interests? What are you studying?
Mhm. Um, so I graduated in Mongolia for my bachelor's for actually business administration, and after I finished my bachelor, I was working in mostly in the marketing field and in the business development. I worked in telecommunication and then market research, and then I don't know I then started in get I got interested in the Gnostic anthropology. If you ever heard about it before, it's about the ancient civilization and about the um, spiritual knowledge anthropology. So I used to attend Gnostic anthropology course while I was working back in 2014-15. So that's how I got to know about the anthropology, the field of anthropology. It's about like the anthropology means human. Um, it's about all the main subject of anthropology is human. So we study everything about humans. So cultural anthropology is we study culture of humans. So we study different. There are thousands of different type of culture in the world on the planet. So um, the classic anthropologies we choose one of the community or the culture. Maybe it was in the beginning when the science of anthropology was developing. It was used to be like the anthropologist goes to like isolated village or some far away tribe, and they live with them and they learn the language and they take notes, and then they come back and they inform about that culture. So um, contemporary cultural anthropology is actually everything about everything: music, digital anthropology, AI, arts, and everything. So um, after I finished that Gnostic anthropology course, I decided to take a detour in my career, and then I looked at some scholarships. Then I found out about a scholarship of Hungarian government. Then there was cultural anthropology, and then I I was actually not sure that if I could get into the program, but anyway, I just applied for it. Then I got the scholarship, and then I studied cultural anthropology for my master's in Budapest for 2 years. And then I came back to Mongolia, and then I started the podcast. So this is the story.
That is amazing. I'm really passionate about knowing cultures around the world, and that's what we are doing through this podcast, getting to know about culture in each and every country of the world. So, in a way, I'm building a database for the anthropologist, or I'm an anthropologist in a way. That's fantastic. And I really am passionate about culture, traditions, and how human condition evolves around the world. And it's very interesting to see how it is happening. And you're the perfect guest for the show because we can also talk about modern anthropology, right? I saw your article on LinkedIn about meeting or researching face to face or on social media. So how has anthropology evolved in past 10, 20 years? Now everybody is talking on Zoom and it is different.
Um, so I'm still, of course, learning, and without having the training for the bachelor, I was very new to the field. And actually, when I started cultural anthropology training, it was very fascinating. It was very eye opening for me, and just being curious and being just I just learned to be curious and very appreciative and understanding of other cultures, and it's just fascinating. And the platform and the methods of like talking to people, meeting people can be very different. It depends, and it doesn't have to be actually very complicated or just very strict, like it has to be like this or this that. So in a way, it gives me a lot of freedom to be curious about everything, and also like approaching people and culture, learning about new things.
What do you think is your biggest accomplishment so far?
Okay, let me think. Um, it's actually like personally, it's quite I don't know, challenging question for me, because all the time I feel like I'm being not enough as a person in life. That in I'm actually in my 30s, and I don't have like very well accomplished career or family. I'm still single, so I feel like sometimes when I compare myself, I still feel like, oh my god, what am I doing? And I think a lot of people also feel like that. So sometimes I feel like I have.
Let's reframe the question. I also feel like that, and I know it's very common, or I can very understandable for people in this age group. Only people who are like in their 50s, 60s are very confident about what they have done, what they say. So let's reframe the question. What is something about you that your friends and family really appreciate, or your colleagues really appreciate, or know you for?
Um, I I think that's I do like I I I'm able to take action for whatever I think I should do. So, like, just for the example, when I thought about starting the podcast in English, I just went on for it. And, like, of course, I just started with just without nothing, just with this headphone, and it started like that. And my friends often told me that that I'm very brave, and I do and accomplish things that I said I will do. So I think that's something that I'm doing. But on the other side, there are a lot of things that I started but I didn't finish. So there's like two sides of it. I When I think of it, I go for it, and but sometimes it doesn't always like finish or show me some results. Yeah, but I was like very insecure about this trait of myself, but I was trying to like embrace just to love myself as I am, and this is just who I am. And there are good side of it, but also some not good very side of it.
I do believe that what you have done with the Modern Mongolia podcast is very significant and awesome, because if that wasn't the case, this podcast wouldn't be happening with you today. So, congratulations on that and best wishes. Next, next, I want to know about, through your study of anthropology, what are some learnings that you went like, wow?
Um, I think it was everything. So anthropology teaches about every culture is relative. So there's a like teaching of cultural relativism. So in um, mostly in the Western, all of the knowledge books and everything, even in the academic, most of the knowledge is created in the Western culture. So mostly used to be like, the Western culture is the superior and others are the inferior. So in cultural anthropology, it teaches that we should not compare um, cultures to one another, because each culture is unique on its own way and it's uncomparable to other culture, because that one culture is found um, has a foundation on completely different belief about the world, and there's so many difference side of the geography and also social structure and the cultural history. So it's just it makes no sense to compare uh, like these cultures to one another. And actually it negates that that there's a common saying that the first world country, second world country, and third world country, etc. So this is kind of like concept that is negated in cultural anthropology. So it was very interesting for me. And actually my very first group assignment was started in the cemetery in the Budapest, and I was like, what are you gonna do in the cemetery? And it was just the work assignment and the workshop. It was very interesting. We just went through the cemeteries and take note about, okay, so there's this oh oh what's the word for the sometimes it happens.
Tombstone.
Yes, there's this type of tombstone in this era of time, and there's this in this era of time there's mostly soldiers died and stuff like that, and it's very interesting for me. And that time I saw that the cultural difference on the concept of death, for example. For example, in Mongolia, I have never ever been to cemetery. It's very far from the city center, and it's kind of a taboo to go there. There's all kind of negative belief, and it's kind of scary to go to there. And on the other side, it's cultural difference that in Europe, mostly the cemeteries are in the city center. It's like just walking garden, and people are just jogging there and taking their kids out for the sun, etc. So it's just like, okay, so this is how it's like that cultures are so different. And this is just one topic about the concept of death. So death is, I don't know, in Hungary it was like um, you know at the end of our group assignment, we kind of found out that the concept of death is people don't um, people actually don't believe that uh, death is real. Like it's just there and everything. Sorry, I will I will say it, say the sentence again. The concept of death is not very strong in the Hungary, and on the other side in Mongolia, it's a taboo. And on the other side in Hungary, it's just a normal topic. They talk about it free, etc. So it was kind of fascinating to see that cultural difference. Could you edit that, because I was very messy about this?
It's very interesting. Mongolia is a Buddhist country, right? What is the common belief?
Um, I didn't have for my life. I didn't have a lot of opportunity to attend someone else's funeral, for example. So I don't know how it goes. I don't know the details of the, for example, funeral. So it's just first the monk um, look at the deceased person's fate, and the monk decides, okay, that so that relative should come to the funeral and take care of the body, etc. So it's very religious, and everything is dictated, kind of led by the monks' decision, like based on the astrological also reading.
So monk looks at the face and decides what to do.
Just looks at the birth year of the person, and looks at on some books, or just um, have this fortune reading, kind of fortune reading procedure, and then decides, okay, this person's, for example, we often hear that, okay, this person's um, like age was already, he lived already past his um, like given ages, so it's already written in his fate to die like that way, and he will be born as such person in this area of this country, something like that.
Oh wow, that's very interesting.
There is a belief of past life and reincarnation of a person, and that is very interesting. And my mom actually says me that I am the reincarnation of my like great grandmother, and she says that you extremely look like her, and your kind of some traits, personal traits, are like her. So you're definitely reincarnation of her. Like, so it's a very common understanding in Mongolia.
Very interesting. This is what happens in Tibet also. Like they select the new Lama, right? Dalai Lama. So I think it's the Buddhist philosophy. I have one question about this and then I'll share what happens in India. So, in your belief, doesn't the gender change? Couldn't you be reincarnation of your grandfather or your next reincarnation be a boy? Does it have to be the same gender every time?
No, it doesn't have to be the same gender. When people reincarnate, I don't believe that. So people actually sometimes, there are a lot of cases like that. Sometimes when a person deceased and during the funeral they put some kind of a sign, or I don't know, they put some mark here, just like a draw something, and then when the person reincarnated they have a birthmark here or something like that. So that happens a lot. So in terms of the gender, it doesn't matter. You can be either the same gender of a person or the opposite.
All right. So, one more question. Do they bury the body or cremate it?
Both. I think most of the people are buried, and yes, mostly traditionally they used to just put the body in some place open in the open on the wild nature. I don't know. So then the animals and the birds eat the body, and they check after 2 or 3 days, when they check back on it, if there's nothing left from the body, it's a very good sign, and that person is kind of on their way to the next reincarnation, something like that. But actually, again, and these are, I have never experienced this on like a personally in my life, so this is just things that I hear about other people's story and from my grandparents, etc.
That's very interesting. I thought only this sect in India did this. There are Parsis, Zoroastrians in India who do this. Leave the body on the tower, and then birds and other animals feed on it, and then they use the bones and bury the bones. So that's very interesting that happens in Mongolia as well.
Let me clarify that this is the case for the people who are living in the countryside. Um, but for the most of the Mongolian population is living in the capital city of Ulaanbaatar, and I believe they bury the person, and maybe I don't know how many of them bury or how many of them cremate the body, but the leaving the body on outside is only for the people or just for the elders who lived in the.
Outskirts. In India, India is a country of many religions. All the religions are there in India. Yeah, but I'll talk about Hinduism. In Hinduism, the body is cremated, and there was this. You talked about taboo, right? There was this thing that women are not allowed to come for the cremation. It's only the men who go. So then cremation is actually like burning the body with all the keeping all the food and all that, and then basically the belief is all the elements go back to the nature. So it goes in the air, and the remaining ashes and bones are then put into the river, and then that's the end of it. But that's changing now. For my grandmother, she didn't have sons, so my mom and her sisters had gone also to for cremation. So that's changing, but that's how it is done here. Some Western cultures might find it very weird or surprising that the body is given to eat or it's burnt off. Their belief is, especially in Christianity and Islam. I was talking to people in the West. They were like, no, we don't. Body has to be preserved in the perfect form. Even if they had a broken hand or something, that hand, separate hand, would be buried along with them. So they wear all these suit and proper clothes. So what I found was they believe that there is going to be a judgment day. I mean, there's going to be a day when resurrection is going to happen. Resurrection meaning all of those people will, the God will come, open the tombs, and then they get up and they walk and they go to some other place. Hence the tombstone and the people under there with that, all those things. All right. Talking to your next interest, what is anthropology of time and temporality?
Okay, it's about how people perceive time, and oh, it's been. I actually really love to talk about anthropology, but it's been a while. I didn't actually uh, been back into the academic life of anthropology, but I'm actually interested in anthropology of time and how it's just basically about how each culture define uh, about the concept of time and also how they perceive what is time. So I I think I have read some articles and some publications of other scholars like few years back, but I haven't read recently. So it's just to say, um, in general, it's about how people perceive the concept of time. And oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about like my own research field to talk about. So um, I studied the about the Mongolian national identity. So when I first started learning about cultural anthropology, I started questioning what is Mongolian identity, what is our identity as a Mongolians. So it was very interesting that it was challenging, and I was struggling to answer this question. It was never. It was kind of like I don't know what is the identity. We often talk about like okay, Mongolia is a land of eternal blue sky and the land of great Genghis Khan. But what this actually is the Mongolian identity? So I decided I should actually study my own identity. So I wrote a thesis on how Mongolian, there are actually a lot of Mongolians living in Hungary, and how those Mongolians being far away from their motherland, how they are constructing their Mongolian national identity. So my academic research field is mostly about identity, and um, also my interested areas are anthropology of music, ethnomusicology, anthropology of sound, and mostly on this area.
talking about national identity and people migrating, when I was doing a research about Mongolia, I found out it has very close relationship with Czech Republic and Hungary. So why these two countries in particular? What is the relation between Mongolia and these countries?
Uh, Shifted into the democratic regime in 1990s. Um, the Mongolia was part of the Soviet Union. So for back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of people was able to study in the Soviet Union countries. So I think because of that, a lot of people, it was easy to go travel to mostly Hungary and also Czech Republic. So because of that, a lot of people migrated and also established the relationship, just going back and forth, and that's how it began. And also from the Hungarian side, Hungarians actually um, consider themselves as the Eastern originated culture in the European culture. So they try to draw close to the Eastern culture, especially with Mongolians, because also the Hungarian national identity, they have this narrative of they migrated from the Central Asia as a nomads on the back of the horse. So that's why they have this mindset of they are kind of brothers and sisters with Mongolians. So they have this kind of patronization for also for Mongolians.
Wow, that's an interesting topic when I talk to a Hungarian friend now.
As a Mongolian, it was interesting experience. Um, Whenever I was kind of like a met new Hungarian friend, they were like, "Okay, my name is that, and nice to meet you. Oh, you're from Mongolia. Wow, we are brothers and sisters." And it was kind of with everyone, and I was like, "Wow, that's very interesting. I have never experienced like, wow, you're Mongolian. That's cool." And I was like, "Okay, like it's very very funny and strange to like people thinking being Mongolian is cool, and that was strange for me." And then I understood why, because they have this um, idea and narrative that they have historical tie back in the days.
I had a friend in school, in my boarding school, who was from Mongolia, but we have lost touch since then. He was very good at judo, lifting and throwing around no matter how heavy you are.
At all type of wrestling, judo, the freestyle, and also sumo, and yeah, they're doing good.
Did you wrestle as well?
Yes, yes. Um, the very few Olymp medalists are the judo wrestlers and samba.
What type of wrestling did you do?
What type of?
What type of wrestling did you do?
I did. I did not do any wrestling. Not every Mongolians do wrestling. So this is why I do modern Mongolia. So I know this is a very common and popular sport among Mongolians, but not everyone does that. Um, for me, I did, the rhythmic gymnastic as a child, just for 2 years, and not much since I was a child, and that's it. As for the sport, I'm not very good at sport.
So this friend of mine, I was very surprised because I'm very tall and heavy. So I'd never imagined or felt anybody lifting me up, but he lifted me up and he threw me. So I was like, wow, somebody actually lifted me up. So that was interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah, interesting.
Talking about,
I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I just came back from my one of my best friends, and she actually studied in India, uh, I think in southern India, but I'm sorry, I don't remember the city she studied, and she was there for 3 years, and I don't know, it just seems interesting.
Music and sound. What have you researched, or what did you find interesting in it?
It is very personal because I just love music. I love every type of music, and music is everything to me. That's just personal love for music. So as a lover of music, uh, I want to research about the all kind of ethno musics and sounds also. So I used actually as a teenager, I was in a rock band for a very short time, and yeah, that's gone now. I don't play actually music right now, but I just love music, and just to research it in the academic level, I think it will be very interesting to deepen the knowledge of the music in a more academic way and also practically. So actually, there are a lot of also anthropologists who um, study and research Mongolian music, especially the horse-head fiddle, the musical instrument, also the throat singing, which is komi. So there are a lot of foreign researchers who had done some writings and publications. I'm not sure if I'm. I think I'm not sure if I'm going to research Mongolian music, but I'm very interested in kind of Far Eastern music and also desert music, Saharan blues, etc. So at the moment, it's just a personal interest. I love to listen to music, but I haven't done any like kind of research yet. And hopefully, I will do it in coming years.
What position or what was your role in the band?
My role was uh, used I used to be the lyricist and also the front singer, and also played some rhythm guitar sometimes, and that's it. But the music
Awesome.
was very very dark. You know, the teenager years are not very bright. Like we were very emo and like just writing about my own like inner confusion or conflict, etc. So it's just very funny to look at those. Just yeah, kind of funny.
Can you please sing for us?
Oh no, that's um I I don't know, because that was like more than a decade ago, and I just left it there, left everything there.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, okay, I don't, I can't sing any of the old songs from the band, but I don't know, I might sing just some any other Mongolian song or something like that. Let me take a look. Is it okay if I just try to sing
Yes. Sing anything.
Mongolian song or something like that?
Yes.
I didn't expect this, and I can't believe I'm gonna do this. Just the while I'm looking for the song, what kind of music have you been listening recently? What was the songs or music that you loved recently?
I haven't heard to music in a long time. I usually used music on my Twitter spaces, or I used to just play whatever is the top charts on Spotify. But usually I like to listen to, I have a playlist of Indian songs. But my mother is a classical singer, classical Indian music singer. So she sings, and because of her influence, I like those classical Indian music also.
When I was studying in Budapest, I actually used to work in an Indian restaurant just for a month, and it was Ayurvedic restaurant. It was quite famous on the TripAdvisor. I think the name of the restaurant was Maharana, and we used to play. that compilation of Indian songs, and I actually love the melody of Indian songs, and I love it.
By the Mongolian throat singing, you mean the Tibetan style, right? I cannot sing it, but it is.
Yeah, I think it's not called Tibetan style, but it's just I can't do it. Of course, I can't demonstrate it, but it's from the throat. There, people learn it with the technique, and if you know the Who, the band, they sing with. They incorporate this element of throat singing in their to their song, and these days the Who band is actually taking over the world. They're just people are crazy about them, and I also love them too. Okay, I got
WHO? What's the name of the band?
Who. They Hu Who.
Okay.
I should listen to that. Um, okay, I'm sorry, I'm taking.
Till she's pulling up the songs, guys, do go.
What?
Till she's searching for the song, guys, go and subscribe to Modern Mongolia podcast. Links in the description.
I have actually like a lot too many playlists on my Spotify, and I can't find the songs. Uh, okay. Um, can I just can I just play the song in a very soft low volume and then just sing? Is it okay? Will it be okay?
Yeah. You can plug your earphones to the song, to the mobile, and then sing in the mic.
Oh, that's a good idea. Um, yeah, you can see I was very unprepared for this.
Life is unpredictable.
Okay, I think I'll go with the singer Sarantoya. She is a very famous 90s singer, and hmm. Okay, I'll go only for one verse. I could. Okay, this is the song called Harrison Sitkil, the lovers song. I don't know, love song. Yeah, I'm kind of awkward like this all the time when I. Okay. Harrison сэтгэл минь харуулслаар дуусанч хайрандаа уярхаараа чамайган бодох юм хатуу хорвогийн тавланг бодохлоор хайрлсан сэтгэл минь харуулслаар дүрэх юм. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Yeah, I think. All right, thank you. I should prepare for such events, and I should Think of a song that I'm ready to sing next time.
This was so good. Very nice, very nice. So, for me, listening for the first time, the lyrics sounded a bit like a Japanese song. I believe your language is very similar to Japanese and Chinese.
The Mongolian language is similar to like I don't know. I think Japanese is for the first time uh, I hear that Mongolian sounds like Japanese, but people say all different kind of languages. Sometimes they say it's like a Russian or I don't know, Kazakh, and a lot of some of my foreign friends say that you always talk like that you are having a fight, or it sounds quite I don't know hard or harsh, but we were just talking and it sounds like we are like having a quarrel or something like that.
Okay, let's do one thing. Can you close your eyes for a moment for us? Think of your favorite memory and now tell the memory to us in your own language, in your mother tongue.
Монгол руу буцаж ирэхээс өмнөх 100 болохоор Workaway гээд сайтаар Унгарын нэг тосгонд байдаг Нидерланд өвөөгийн очиж 2 3 7 хоногийг өнгөрөөсөн. Тэгэхэд яг бүр маш гоё яг тийм бүр яг нэг деваачнд байгаа ч юм шиг айгуу гоё яд жаргалтай байсан. Тэгээ тэр өвөө маань болохоор тэтгэвртэй гараад Унгарт тийм газар хөдөлтөж аваад тэндээ ганцаар амьдардаг өвөө байсан. Тэгээд хаяа тийм жуулчд ч юм уу work-гээр очиж байгаа оюутан юм уу аялагчдыг хүлээж авдаг. Тэгээд би цааш найзтайгаа очиод тэнд туслаад баг нэг хийх юм бол байгаагүй. Тэгээд өвөө бит хоёрыг мэдээж өнгөө байрлуулсан. Тэгээд дандаа хоол хийж өгөөд зайрмаг өгөөд айгуу гоё өдөр хоногуудыг өнгөрүүлж исэн. How do you feel about it?
Very interesting. I'm hearing for the first time. And we do this usually to get the sound of different countries and how the language is. Yesterday, we are hearing the Inuit language from Greenland. You got to hear that. It's very different. So, your language, it's called Mongolian language, right? What's the name of the language? Yeah. It was a mix. It sounded a bit like Chinese, but also like Russian, like a mixture of that. Probably it's because of geographical location. It has had the influence.
A lot of Russian word and also as well as the Chinese word that I that are adapted into Mongolian because of the history and there is also actually the vertical writing script that is the traditional Mongolian script, and ironically us, the Mongolians, we don't use it as an official language. Um, but the inner Mongolians, who are the part of the China, they use it as their official language, and they everyone is writing in the traditional Mongolian script. But now we don't use it daily, so most of Mongolians don't know or can't write or can't read the script, but our that language was converted into Cyrillic alphabets since 1940s, and then it stayed like this. We have the Cyrillic alphabet now.
Cyrillic, as in the Russian. Okay, it's called Cyrillic. I didn't know that. All right. Before we go to the next question, can you translate your best favorite memory in English for us?
About the right before I came back to Mongolia in 2020, 2020, because of the pandemic, I stayed in the Hungarian village for 3 weeks with the old Dutchman, and I found that man through the workaway site. I just wanted to get away from the city and experience the countryside life of Hungary. And then I stayed there with my friend, and it was, I think, when I think back, it was the time when I was most happy because I was just in the moment, just enjoying life. There was not much to do, not much working or just studying or nothing. We just enjoyed cooking, sometimes cleaning. We just wanted to clean the house as a thank you, and he was cooking for us. We had some very nice cherry beer together, and it was very nice. We sometimes in the morning we used to run in the field of sunflowers, and it was just very magical. And this is the memory I love the most. And he had a few chickens and three cats and a dog, and we stayed in his caravan. And I think he didn't actually host any other travelers since us because of the pandemic, and I hope to see him someday. So he just looks like a Santa Claus and very lovely man. So this is just a lovely memory that I like to think back to.
Very interesting. Glad it's a recent memory. Usually people go back to their childhood or some way back time, but very nice to hear about this story. Modern Mongolia podcast. Why did you start that, and what can the guest listen, or what topics do you cover in the Modern Mongolia podcast?
With the people when I was in abroad, uh, people were very excited to hear about that I'm Mongolian, but um, some of them didn't know about if the what the Mongolia was as a country, and all they heard about was, of course, the Chinggis Khan, and just some roaming like horses, and there are some gear tents, and people are, I don't know, living there just like running on their horses. So I thought people really didn't have any kind of sources in English that inform about them, about contemporary Mongolian culture. And I looked up on it and I couldn't find nothing. And there was a bunch of contents, but it was all on in Mongolian, and there was none in English. So I just thought, why don't I start it and just talk with expats in about like how they imagined about Mongolia, and how they experienced in real life Mongolia, and what was the difference, and just wanted to explore on that. So I thought after I started the podcast, I actually received very good feedbacks from people. So I thought, okay, I think I should keep doing this. Mm, so I think that's the idea. And people who are listening to the Modern Mongolia podcast, they can gain information about just how the real reality is at the moment in Mongolia. Because if you try to find, I don't know, just type Mongolian culture or something like that on the internet or YouTube, you just find those travel vloggers video, or those the travel videos that are like just only show you the very nice nature. There are like mountains, land, and animals, but they don't actually give you the real idea of how life is in Mongolia, because there's also the urban life in Mongolia, which is where the most of the life is happening in the city center. And only for the few summer months, people just roam around the countryside, and they came back in September, and all the life is happening uh, in Ulaanbaatar city. So I think they had a really lack of resources to know the insights of this side of life in Mongolia.
It's funny because most of the Mongolian population lives in the city, yet people try to cover and show the outskirts.
You see those videos and you think, wow, this looks so amazing. I want to travel to Mongolia. And when you come here, there's a lot of struggles. And um, I would love to talk both the struggles and challenges, hardships, and also the what is nice and what is the things that you could not experience in other countries, and what are the bright sides of Mongolia, and both of them in a balance. Yeah.
What is the correct pronunciation? Is it Genghis Khan, Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan? Chinggis Khan, right?
Mm, the name Chinggis is originated from the word Tingis, which is uh, which is the word for ocean, Tingis, and then it's shifted into Chinggis Khan. So
That's how we pronounce it in India, Chinggis Khan. But I don't know how did they started adding G in front of it. It makes it a very different name then, right?
Russian pronunciation or something like that, and people just some people thought you said that Genghis, and then it just yeah.
So Genghis Khan, guys, remember. In modern Mongolia, how do people connect with Genghis Khan's story and how do they celebrate or commemorate him today? Or do people hate him?
This is, of course, our national pride. He is our national pride, um, and actually, the anthropologically, the Chinggis Khan is a very big concept for Mongolians. It's not just the one person, one just Khan from the past who did this all kind of the great battles and expanded his territory, but it is a whole concept because of the Chinggis Khan, Mongolians love this great big masculine, powerful male figure, and it is often reflected in our political choices and etc. So you can see that how this uh, narrative and also concept of Genghis Khan influences Mongolians and their daily life choices. So of course, we love Genghis Khan, and mostly we celebrate Genghis Khan during the Naadam festival. Um, which is in July for 3 days, but mostly it's for 5 days. It's a public holiday, and everyone is just celebrating and traveling. And also, there is a Chinggis Khan's kind of birthday in on in I think December 29th, if I remember right. So we celebrate that day, and we also have a public holiday on that day. And of course, on everything culturally, we just respect and celebrate Genghis Khan in everything. And also, the
That
Mongol study is actually in academic world. It's quite big scientific field, and there are a lot of scholars and scientists that know about the history of Genghis Khan and also write about it. But actually, I know very little of it. Yeah.
I'm going to pull up photos and share with the audience. Till that time, please write the name of your festival in the chat box so that I can pull up the festival images as well.
Yes, it's Nadam Festival, one of the biggest celebration of Mongolians. So there are basically very big, two big celebrations for Mongolians. That is part of our also um, cultural and national identity. So one happens in the end of the winter and beginning of this. beginning of the spring, which is the Lunar New Year. We call it Tsagasar, and another one is this Nadam festival. So there are three kind of um, competition that happens: the wrestling, of course, and horse racing, and the archery. And this is um, traditional celebration, cultural celebration of Mongolians. And it's every year it celebrates the anniversary of the great Mongol Empire, and also the independence of Mongolian state.
Wow. When does this happen?
Year July 9th to 11th, 10th.
July 19th to 11. Is it ongoing right now?
The national celebration is on 9th to 11th for 3 days. But for each AMAX and each regions, it happens throughout the whole July. So for some SOMs and region or AMAC, which is the administrational unit of Mongolia, they celebrate it separately, maybe on 20th of July, something like that. So it's kind of like a summer festival.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. We are talking about the festival during the national festival going on in Mongolia.
Yes. And a lot of also this is a big attraction for tourists, and a lot of people come to see this festival. And yeah,
Talking about Genghis Khan again, I have pulled his images here. You see it on the screen, right? And this is his empire.
yes, actually Mongolians are very nationalists, and we often talk about like we were ruling the world, and like they're most of the Mongolians are very nationalists. But I think, of course, it had a lot of impacts in the in the global history, and how other cultures had developed throughout the history because of the impact of the Mongol Empire. But mm, just personally, I think some people are too nationalist, that they're just only talking about the things of that already happened in the past. But right now, just we should be very realistic about it. Of course, it's it's not um, wrong to be proud of our history. It's good, but sometimes I feel like some people just exceed it and too nationalist.
So Mongolian empire is actually larger than Russian USSR. It looks like biggest empire ever, even bigger than the Alexanders.
Even bigger, one biggest. It was the biggest, and there are a lot of cultural artifacts in the biggest galleries and museums in all over the country, I think, but not in Mongolia, I guess. And those are the artifacts left from the Mongol Empire. And oh, actually, a year ago, we opened finally a museum for Genghis Khan, and that one is quite a big museum and only dedicated for the Genghis Khan and his legacy. And I
Wow.
one of the must go places. They say that they should visit.
So this is the Mongol Empire compared to Roman Empire. So huge. We had Mughals in India. They are the descendants, in a way, of the Mongols. So people from India watching that, they are related to. I mean, they ruled India for a long, many generations. But they were Islamic. They were followers Islam.
Um, of course, there are a lot of books written about the Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan, but one of the um, like cultural unique um, legacy of Mongol Empire was Genghis Khan was very tolerant of religiously tolerant, and during the time of the Mongol Empire, all kinds of religion was existing all together, like um, Muslim, Christianity, Hinduism, and also the Buddhism. They existed together without any conflict in peace. So that is the thing that is kind of often um, talked about and celebrated about Mongolian. Um,
That is amazing. So, what, no, you're doing great. It's great information. What faith was followed by Genghis Khan? Yeah. What religion did Genghis Khan follow? He himself.
was a we call it Tinger Uzil, which is the worship of sky, and it was often written that he talked with the sky, something like that. So it's kind of like a natural spirituality, and also he also often, I think, discussed with shamans, and there was also shamanism together with the worship of the sky. And yes, that was his belief, spiritual belief.
Beautiful. So, dear friends, in the previous episode, we spoke about Greenland, and today we are talking about Mongolia, which is right here.
um, yeah, as we've seen, the Mongol Empire was very big, and some, I think there is even some genealogical research that say almost, I don't know how many percent of the world population is kind of descendants of Genghis Khan. And I don't remember the details of it, but there are some researches like that, and that is crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, one out of every 16 people is.
I remember that number. Yes,
So, why did he want to spread his genes wherever he went?
I believe he didn't want it. It just happened, I guess. Just he had a lot of wives and also children. So when his when the empire expanded, he assigned his children and sent their daughters to the political marriages. So just inevitably, it reached everywhere, and I think every other empires was like longing to marry the Chinggis lineage, etc. So I believe so.
Yeah, I read this. I've seen a couple of videos on that. How politics, how important Genghis Khan used his daughters to formulate political alliances, and how it is very interesting. You can search it up, guys. So this is Mongolia. And where are you speaking from?
I'm speaking from my home in Ulaanbaatar.
How do you spell that?
Is it me? I should mute this. It's I'll write it here. It's the capital city, Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah, got it. Beautiful. So it's called the land of eternal sky.
Yes, there is, yeah, mostly the sky is very blue and very bright, and um, there are a lot of like quite sunny days in Mongolia, but the in terms of weather, it's very dry, very very dry, windy, and um, I don't know. As I observe most recently, I think because of the global warm, I don't know the summer months are even not months, like it's just few days, and it's mostly very, very cold. One of the coldest city, Ulaanbaatar is actually, and it's getting even colder each year, and the summer is getting shorter, and uh, I think there are kinds of weather changes are happening in Mongolia, but there are a lot of
Mhm.
cities actually, and mostly the
Beautiful.
blue. But I think there are, of course, there is some kind of geographical reason for that.
And here you have the camels with two humps.
Yes, yes. One
In the episode,
one thing I love about Mongolia is there are various kinds of landscape in Mongolia. There are mountains, very high mountain ranges, and also there is a desert. There are forests, and there is just vast steppe. So it's a quite challenging and also very nice ex- explorative landscape here.
yeah, we we were talking about camels in the episode of Chad. Chad is in Central Africa, and he was talking about single hump camels and double hump camels. So you find the double hump camels in the cold deserts, like in Mongolia. Talking about geography, Mongolia is landlocked. So, do you have to depend on other countries for your natural resources and all that? How is it a disadvantage or advantage, or how would you call that?
We are very dependent on other countries, especially our only neighbors that are Russia and China. Mostly we
Yeah, you have only two neighbors. Yeah,
general goods on the China, and yeah, we could feel it during the pandemic when the China closed its border. Nothing worked in Mongolia, like everything just stopped. And I believe maybe for 80, no, 90%, more than 90% we depend on China, I think, on everything. But for natural resources, this is the only field that we are actually exporting the some coals and um, the copper, gold, etc. So mining is the biggest industry in Mongolia.
so you depend more on China than Russia.
On the global trade, on we are depending on China, but on the, I don't know, on the political influence, etc. As I'm looking at these things people are writing and being um, suspecting about it, we are, I think, very influenced by also Russian politics.
Hmm. Talking about traditions and clothing, there's a very peculiar dress that I found only in Mongolia. Can you tell us about that?
Nation-
This one.
yes, this is a traditional costume for. Okay, this one specifically is called the um, bride costume or wife costume. So this is the hair, which is made into this shape with glue, and only the women who had married can do this hairstyle, and this is called wife costume. And yeah, I think there are a lot of influences from when we were under the rule of Manchu Empire, and this is when, yeah, this was created during the, I think, during the empire of Manchu rules.
For those who don't know, that is the China Empire in China.
Yes.
What is this real hair which is glued?
I believe these pictures are not real, but at the time when they were actually wearing it, I believe they were having their real hair glued like this, and I believe it must be.
Ouch, that must be so tough to remove. When are you planning to get this hairstyle?
Oh, I don't know, but I would love to have some, this uh, photo shooting session just for once in my life to just as a,
Hmm.
or it would be nice to have this kind of picture in a traditional costume. Yeah, it looks.
So is this the bride and the groom?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, yes, this is another ethnic costume from Ordos, which is from the Inner Mongolia. So each ethnic groups have their different um, different type of traditional clothes. Like they have differences in the headwear and also some parts of the veil or some patterns are different, etc. So there are little bit different nuances.
So colorful and beautiful.
It is. It's very beautiful.
What is your favorite food?
Um, Oh, I'm sorry. This wife costume. This was actually in the Star Wars series for the Padme, and yes, you can search Padme costume, Mongolian costume,
Yes.
hair, and yes, like that. So for the food, um, um, I love. Let me think. I just like some noodle fry or um, fried rice. Some we call it potate horok. So the most common foods here are um, fried noodle. We call it tövang, and people even say that every women who want to get married should at first learn how to cook tövang, and because most of the Mongolian men love tubing, and it's just we make the dough from scratch. We make the dough and flatten it and cut it, and then we fry some beef or add some vegetables, and then add the uh, noodles and we steam it and then mix everything. So that's very common.
Can you type the name here?
Sure, sure. It's called tubang. And it's Mongolian food is all meat, and there is bods, hoshor. It's bods is a dumpling, and hoshor is very similar to empanada. It's also meat inside the dough, and it's fried. These are kind
So
of food. Yeah.
the I typed the name which you had said. So this is what is coming up. So have you learned this? Are you ready?
Yes, I can cook it, but I wouldn't say I cook it the best. Like I know how to cook it, but yeah, I think my turing is just medium turing, I guess.
There are so many horses. Do you even have horse meat?
Yes, horse meat. So during mostly in November we prepare uh, the meat for the whole months of winter. So it's called a dish, and when we
Type it, type it.
prepare a dish, it means we prepare the meats uh, in a pack. Just prepare all the meat that we're gonna consume during the months of winter. So, for example, one family prepare like half of the um, cow leg, something like that, and some uh, few kilograms of horse meat and one whole sheep meat, etc. So these are um, prepared and cut into pieces, and we keep it in our freezer. So it's called a dish. And actually, people say that horse meat is very health has a lot of health benefits, and especially it's good to have it in the winter and in the cold weather. So yes, we do eat that.
I would, I don't know about meat, but I would love to try horse milk.
The horse is milked and it's fermented into arag, and arag is our traditional beverage. And once it's fermented, it has kind of alcoholic agent, and if you drink too much, you will get drunk. But it has also a lot of health benefits too.
So, you make alcohol from milk.
Our traditional vodka is called Shiminger, which is distilled from Mongolian traditional vodka is distilled from milk, and it the color is kind of also this milky, has its milky color, and it tastes similar, maybe like sake or soju. It has a very low percentage of alcohol, but it knocks you out, like it suddenly knocks you out. Yeah, so people collect the um, collect the yogurts, and they collect the yogurts and boil it, and then um, uh, filter the boiled yogurt into curd, and when we boil the curd again and then distill the alcohol out of it. So it's called milk vodka. What is
Wow. I just I just typed what you said. I just typed Mongolian horse milk alcohol and this is what came up. But it's very interesting. I didn't know that if you further boil curd, it becomes alcohol.
there's a lot of procedure to it, and only the countryside families do it because it's how it's done in the countryside. And I think there are few national brands that sell this distilled vodka. What is the name? That's I don't know. You should Shimmy.
You know, salt. I heard that you add salt in your tea, milk tea. Why?
I think yes, milk tea is just our we consume milk tea drink every day daily, and it's for some elders it's just like a food or soup. And um, we boil the tea, make the tea, add milk, and then some salt, and it's Mongolian milk tea. But in some regions, they don't add salt, or some, for some personal preferences or some health issues. Some people don't.
But what is the reason for adding salt in the milk?
To be honest, I don't know what is the reason, but it is how it's done. So I think for the very first time, it might seem very, very odd. To the taste might feel very odd, but once you get used to it, it's quite good.
All right. About the Mongolian flag, I wanted to know about its design. Let me pull up the flag.
Okay.
What are the symbols in that?
Um, so for the symbols of Mongolian flag, the um, dominating colors are the blue sky and the red. And blue colors is of course symbolizing the blue sky, because as I said before, the sky was the traditional and main religion that people worshipped for the force of the sky. And that's why blue is a very significant color for Mongolians. And the um,
But there is more of red than blue.
there are red, and red because this flag was finalized during the um,
Russian, USSR.
the People's Republic of Mongolia. So the ruling party was um, Revolutionist Party. So that's why the red is there. And there are also these shapes and um, yes, this
Yin and yang.
yan and um, yes, I think you can search and look for the symbolism. So there is everything.
I think it's the only flag which has yin and yang in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never thought about it actually before. So they're like so these two um, oh the side of two side of these things are, symbolizing the strong and everlasting foundation, and that moon and sun and moon on the top, and also there is a fire that is originated also in the Mongolian Empire. That um, the I think it's a religious symbol and also
Hmm.
spiritual belief. And yeah, there's every shape has its symbolism.
It's very interesting to see that a lot of culture, tradition, and beliefs have been incorporated into making the flag.
Yes, of course.
What is one thing about your country that you love the most?
That's easy because I what I love about Mongolia is I feel free to, just I can go drive outside of the city and I can camp everywhere. You can feel complete freedom here. Like you can just doing the road trip is best thing to do in Mongolia. So that's what I love about Mongolia. I also talked about it on my Modern Mongolia podcast episode about what I love about Mongolia, and just freeness, feeling of freeness and spaciousness, and even the air is very dry and uh, I don't know, maybe molecules are very scarce, and even the feeling of when I breathe, it feels like I can feel like very deep and big, long breath, and it feels like I can take a deep breath and I can feel free. And you can feel that when you actually travel to the countryside, you can actually feel the word spaciousness. There's a lot of space.
So if you leave a plate of chips, it won't get all that lumpy because it's dry. It always will remain crunchy.
It's a very dry, but of course,
And space.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you went to Budapest and abroad, did you want space? Like, did you feel congested?
Not actually, but I also dearly loved Budapest. Um, just the the um, just I we don't have to get any permission to just camp, to do the wild camping. So maybe just that can be kind of a privilege here, privilege of Mongolians. Maybe in other countries I have to go through, I don't know, getting permission, just being allowed to the certain area and camp there. And yeah.
Before the next question, I had one about Genghis Khan. Are there any specific customs, traditions, rituals in Mongolia that trace back to the Genghis Khan Empire?
um there must be a lot, actually. There must be a lot of such customs. Let me think. For example, the celebration of Tagansar, which is Lunar New Year in February, we celebrated on different dates each year, depending on the moon calendar. So that is the whole symbolism and rituals and everything related to the Tagansar. I think is still uh, kept until to this day, and Tagansar was uh, was celebrated since the Genghis Khan's empire. Yeah. Excuse me, I can't hear you anymore. Oh,
I was on mute. What is one thing that you would like to change about your country?
okay. The first thing that came into my mind is the address system. It is very complicated to find or navigate yourself in, especially in Ulaanbaatar. It's messy. I don't know how tourists navigate around this city. It's completely messy. So first thing, I would change this address system and make this make the address better and have this new system of, like, I don't know, order and having all the streets names and the um, all this navigation would be better. So that is very hard. That's why it's very also actually hard to have this um, oh, the business for, like, the 1 second.
That's what I was going to say. It must be very difficult for Amazon and eBay type of delivery businesses.
I'm sorry. Sometimes my brain just freezes and forgets words. So I was going to say that it is very difficult to develop delivery businesses. That's why.
So you cannot order anything online.
But it's not perfect. It's still working, but it must be very difficult for other regions that have Gir areas. So if you don't know, there is a Gir district in Ulaanbaatar, which is actually majority part of this city is Gir areas. So there are Gir, which is called Gir district, which is only unique to this city. There are districts of Gir who people are living in Gir, and it's a whole district.
So what is complicated about the address? Is it, don't you write the name of the street, the flat, the house number, the street number, and then the pin code? Is it so simple? What can be more complicated about it?
I think everything, because of, I think there are a lot of problems with the urban planning side, and I guess there have been built a lot of new buildings, and also the ski district areas had expanded without any prior planning. So that's why they have these address issues, or they are not registered. They just, you know, as just ironically, just I said that. It's very free to just roam around in the countryside and camp everywhere. So when countryside people migrate from countryside to city, they just put their gear in everywhere without any kind of planning, or also the administration uh, uh, regulation is very poor, and that's why a lot of unplanned regions and streets, also buildings. It's getting actually this. Um, I don't like this tall, very tall buildings, skyscrapers, but it's getting a lot of buildings are being built newly, and I don't know where this city is going.
I also like the point that you pointed out. It is correlated to traditional countries like India, China, or maybe Egypt, that people take a lot of pride in the olden things, but they just talk about it and they become less productive in day to day life. We should have a balance of tradition as well as innovation and forward moving. Take inspiration from the past to do better in the future. What are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree with that. Actually, we are experiencing a lot of people um, going abroad, choosing to live abroad, and we are having, the brain drain. So majority of the young people, teenagers and high school kids, they say that they will study in uh, foreign country, I don't know, US, Australia, or somewhere else, because they don't want to stay in Mongolia. And this is because there are a lot of things to be solved, and a lot of problems, and a lot of things that need to be taken care of and get better. And there are actually a lot of problems, and that's why people are choosing to uh, live abroad. And yes, and I agree with that.
But people like you who study and come back and bring a positive vibe to your country are helping in a good way.
And emotionally prepare themselves a lot, and they come back like, okay, I'm ready to face all these challenges, etc. So it because there's a lot of these foundational problems mm, related to the infrastructure and urban planning, etc. The social stress is very high here. So yeah, people are very stressed and very not very always very nice to each other. And so because of those underlying problems, people have a lot of stress. But if you are willing to go through that stress and truly, I don't know, live here and try to be part of the solution, some people do that. But I'm also kind of planning to, also move and continue.
You're also planning to drain your own brain.
I can say that I'm running away, but this is my choice. Yeah, but I won't stop doing the podcast. I will keep doing the podcast about Mongolia.
We talked about problems, but every country has their unique opportunities. So, what do you think is great business and investment opportunity in Mongolia?
um, Many people who studied abroad say that there can be a lot of business can be actually uh, started here and localized in Mongolia. But the we have very few population, and the market size is quite small. So I think it has to be very clever. But as I observed, one good thing about Mongolia is there are very good, the IT personnel and very good workforce for IT business based on coding and online business. So it is a place.
I have an idea. It's $1 billion idea. Listen carefully.
Yeah.
You are the land of eternal blue sky. Fill the land with solar panels, and you can lead the world with solar energy.
Yes, right, right. I believe these green technology companies are starting to look on these ideas and starting to develop projects, I guess. And also the
Yeah, because it's such huge land, right? Free land. You could have such big solar farms and then maybe just somehow capture the energy, electricity, and export it.
I believe people already thought about this, and maybe only the problem would be, mm, like the shipping and transportation cost is huge to Mongolia, and also the people who can um, uh, continue working, keep the business working, and um, running the business can be problem because they need to train the people, and I guess that.
What is the cost of petrol in the country? As it's landlocked, I believe it's very expensive.
So we use a liter for the petrol, and 1 liter of gas is oil is 3,000 no 2,382 Greeks, which is less than $1. Let, let's convert it to dollar. It's
So you're telling me that gas is cheap?
I don't know if it's cheap actually, but
Do you get your oil? Do you have oil wells in Mongolia or do you import it from Russia?
we import it from Russia.
Ah, that's why I believe.
That's why.
Okay. So
So it's like 1.6 dollars.
okay, almost the same everywhere, I believe. All right. In Mongolian language, how do you appreciate something? How do you call something is beautiful or somebody is beautiful?
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, stop. Okay, we when just when you asked your question, I just thought, okay, I think we don't say actually a lot of compliments to each other. I don't know, but of course we say compliments and appreciate things between friends or etc. But it's not common that, I don't know, the strangers say these nice things to each other, I guess. And when we appreciate things, I we say Ямар гоё юм бэ? Өстө хөөрхөн харагдчихээн, etc. So we just say, you look very nice, you look very cute, it's very nice.
Yema Koing Bay.
Гоё юм бэ? Yes.
Yamar Koing Bay. Okay.
Янзтай. You can say, if you want to say cool, you can say янзтай. Dök, янзтай.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It is, it's you're saying, wow, it's cool. You can say янзтай, янзтай.
Yenste. Yenste. Modern Mongolia podcast is Yenste.
Thank you. Баярлаа. Yeah, thank you is баярлаа.
Bersa.
Баярлаа. Yep.
Bersa.
Баярлаа.
All right. Awesome. What is a wedding ritual that is very unique only to Mongolia? We spoke about gluing the hair, but is there anything else that is only there in Mongolia?
So that costume is not actually, the everyday use or common,
No, I'm asking about wedding ritual.
I know. So it actually differs in the urban and rural areas in each culture. So in urban Mongolia, so most of the uh, modern weddings actually very similar to the what you see in the Western movies, Hollywood movies. They wear the white gown and they have this the bachelorette parties, and they have big reception for the invited guests, and they just go through the aisle and they have this.
So it's a Christian wedding.
It's not Christian, but they just copy the culture because of popular popular culture. And traditionally, there is two phases of the wedding. So first phase is to get engaged. So it's called birkuch. So it is when the family of the groom asks the girl to be the bride and to get engaged. So this happens without actually bride and groom. Only the families and parents meet together, and the groom's family asks if they can um, have their girl welcome to their family and marry them. And they kind of have this kind of a feast and drink and sing together. And sometimes the bride's family or parents can say no, and they just reject it and they send them back. And then they come back again, ask again. Sometimes it happens, like, I don't know, 3 times, something like that. But I hope it's not so often. And then after this ceremony, they got engaged. So then after they decide when to get married, so the wedding is traditionally they just travel to the uh, travel to the bride's home, and they wear the Dale costume, traditional Dale costume, and they just uh, bring this this fabric which is called hatak, and that is Buddhist culture, which is adapted from the Tibetan culture. And they ask for the bride's again parents married them, and they also have big feasts. And also sometimes it differs in the region. Some regions they don't drink at all, or some regions they drink for 3 days and have eat together, sing together, and like that. And then they leave, bringing the bride, and go home with the bride.
Wow, I got to really appreciate you. For so many guests we have on the episode, you have given the most detailed explanation of your wedding ritual. So, cheers for that. I have one related question. What is the attitude of youth towards marriage and having kids these days?
But, so uh, mostly in the Eastern culture, we are considered Eastern culture. So we are encouraged to get married uh, early, in our early 20s. And of course there is a quite social pressure on single women in their 30s or in their late 20s. um, their friends or family, they tell us that you should get married as soon as possible, etc. So it is encouraged to get married, or people say to find a husband as early as possible and get have children. And but as I observe personally, there are a lot of um, young couples that they got married or they had the children together, and then they separate early. They get married earlier and then separate. So as I know, there are a lot of single uh, parents, single mothers, and that is pretty common in current contemporary Mongolia. Yep. And also people use, but it's getting Now it's getting better, but also people used to have a lot of stigma and taboo about getting married to a foreign person, and people would think, oh, like they're contaminating the pure blood, etc. There is this blood narrative. So, but now it seems like people are getting more open to this um, intercultural marriages, and it seems fine. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. I am observing that worldwide youth are postponing the age of marriage. I think it's getting pushed ahead to late 20s, 30s. So it looks like it's a common phenomena everywhere.
I think it's a global phenomenon that people, uh, especially I guess the women, prefer to get educated and have a career, um, have a stable career, then they decide think about to have a family. So I also think it's a universal thing.
It could also be because of medical, right? Because of people used to have more kids and early because they needed helping hands in the farm, and people, there was a lot of mortality rate was high. People used to just die, so they needed a big family to support each other. But as modern medicine is improving, the age lifespan of a person is increasing. I think people are okay with have postponing marriage and kids to a later age, so that they feel that they are doing more as much as they can as they're young. But to the other spectrum of this is Japan. Japan is completely the population is collapsing, and they have they grow old, they live in the same, it's a very completely, we still have to have a guest from Japan, we'll have in a couple of weeks, but that's the other end of the spectrum.
I think so. Yeah, just looking at this, the videos on the Instagram and YouTube, it seems like in Japan people are just prefer to isolate themselves socially and just prefer to, um, I don't know, interact with just the.
Hmm. What I'm observing in podcast is it's only Africa who's having most kids. Like the fertility rate is 5 and 6. So 5 and 6 kids every family. We spoke to DR, Democratic Republic of Congo. That's the Central African country who we talked about the fertility rate and kids. But I think it's very common in Africa to have 3, 4, 5, 6 kids.
Kids, nowadays in Mongolia, families often have, um, in in general, two kids, and that they consider it's enough. And yes, in my parents' generation, it used to be like 10 kids or 9 kids. That was kind of the everywhere. There was a lot of people have.
How many siblings you have?
I have just one sibling. I'm the older sister, and I have just one younger sister. And actually, there is a state honoration for the mothers who gave birth to 4 kids, and it's called. We call them mothers with this honor, and every year they're because it is by policy to encourage people to give birth, because we are, very very few. There are only 3.5 million of Mongolians, so it is to encourage people to reproduce by policy. So yeah, if you
So you celebrate women who have 4 kids.
when yes, it's they get honored from the president, and they receive this medal, and they're given, I don't know, some kind of money or something like that.
I think. How many kids do you want to have?
For me, ideally, I would love to have 3 kids.
Why not 4? Make it 4 and get a medal.
I don't know. I can't promise on that. I don't know.
All right. To the next question. What is your impression about India?
Impression. Um, Mongolians actually not very exposed here in not very exposed into different cultures a lot. So there are like two very well known Indian restaurant here, and they are chain restaurants here, and one is called Tajma Daily Darbar, and another is Namaste. And the people who started these restaurants, I believe they lived here for I don't know for over 20 years. And I'm actually not very aware or knowledgeable about Indians who are living.
No, it's okay. I just want to know general, like when you hear India, what impression comes to your mind?
Okay, like so personally, um, a lot of people say it is very I don't know very kind of um, a destination that you can travel as a pilgrim or something like that. But just I love the culture. I have seen some movies, the that which is very popular, Three Idiots, and I love the movie PK. If you have seen, I love PK, and I love sitar. I sometimes I listen to sitar
Sitar music.
music and the is it tabla or the tabla? Yes, and I love Indian food actually. Yeah.
What? Which one?
Uh, I'm sorry. I feel very okay. This is very basic, but I guess every Mongolians love butter chicken because butter chicken is the most popular here, I guess. And I love biryani and samosa.
Yeah, it's one of the lesser spicy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just yeah, general. I know that the food culture is very rich in India, so I feel like I can't uh, I can't say enough of it. So just this is just basic. Yeah.
What if you could travel anywhere in the world? Where would you go?
Um, I would love to go to Chile, Santiago. I don't know why. I don't know why. Just seems like it's very nice. And actually, Mongolians are visa free to most of the South American countries. So
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
we have like we can stay, I think, up to 30 days. So I would love to go to, of course, to Peru, go to the Machu Picchu, and also let me think. Of course, the Iceland, Reykjavik, and there are a bunch of countries that I have in mind, and I'll see if I can go there. And yes, I my actually dream is to become a surfer, and so I'd love to go to somewhere they have beach, and then I can surf whenever I get up in the morning. So that might be I don't know Costa Rica or somewhere like that.
Beautiful. I'll convey your message because in next week we'll have an astronomer from Chile, and yeah, we have in the previous episode we have had entrepreneur and art collector from Argentina, and also there is works in pipeline for Peru and Brazil. So yeah, I'll convey your message to the guest from Chile. All right, this is now we are going to the signature round, but before that I want to ask one question about anthropology. AI and anthropology. How do you think AI is impacting anthropology and culture?
Yes. the digital anthropology and how people are interacting with the technology and how it's impacting on humanity and human culture is what will anthropology will study in the AI field. So the question is actually our question, like how will it impact on people? So when so if the anthropologist is working in the AI field, and I imagine that they would be looking at how people are perceiving this AI are changing the concepts, the general and the regular concepts into something new. For example, the concept of money, uh, like okay, this is different than AI, but for example, the concept of money is now completely changed into digital. So it's also impacting how we spend or how we earn money. So it's like that. We just only the anthropological lens is directed on certain topic, but the idea of the anthropology is to ask the questions and observe people and understand people how they are identifying the topic and how they are um, connecting with the topic in a personal and subjective way.
Amazing. I would love to see how it unfolds. For me, as a podcast host who is talking to people around the world, I definitely see a change in having access to talk to people without traveling, to get to know about their culture, talk to them face to face. I feel this is a big advancement and I'm very happy about it.
Um, to talk about anthropology in Mongolia, it's there's a lot to be done here. Anthropology is very new in Mongolia, and it's kind of like going behind the contemporary anthropology. It's only there's a lot of ethnographic work was done here about Mongolian ethnic groups and traditional rituals, etc. But there are tons of contemporary anthropology topics that are waiting to be researched in Mongolia. So I hope to be one of the anthropologists who would do that in Mongolia.
Best wishes for that. Next to the signature round. Name three people, living or dead, that you would like to have lunch with.
Okay, the first came in my for me, the number one musical band is Tool, the band named Tool, and the lead singer Maynard James. I'd love to have the lunch and have a talk because that man is some a fascinating person. He is the lyricist, and I'd love to talk about the lyrics. And also, he has the wine business, which is called Caduceus, and he makes wine, and that would be so interesting to just to have a chat. And second, um, I would love to talk one of my great grandparents, maybe my grandfather, because I've heard a lot that he was um, very religiously rigorous and very hardworking man, and also very humble. So it would be interesting to see the ancestors of mine in as a real person and talk to in person, face to face. And third, um, let me think. Um, yeah, just a friend of mine who is living in Paraguay. So he is my Hungarian friend. So I haven't seen him for a long time. So just I would love to have chat with him and have a lunch. That would be nice.
Second part to the question is, if you could ask one question to them, different question for different people, what question would you ask?
This is very interesting. Okay, um, for the singer of the tool, I would ask that. Mm, I don't know. I would ask the personal question rather than the lyrics, etc. So um, I think I would try to assess myself, my current um, current state of life. Like, how did you feel about making music, and how were you insecure about something? So I think my question is: were you insecure about anything in your life? And secondly, for my great grandfather, I would ask just a simple question like, what is your could you sing me a song? And I yes, could you sing me a song? I believe, or I imagine he might sing some folk song or some uh, we have a traditional folk song which is called long song, and maybe he might sing me ortendo, which is long song. And for the friend of mine who is living in Paraguay, I might ask that about his love life. How is your love life lately? Yes.
Fantastic. About music, I would suggest you in one of the Modern Mongolia podcast, bring musicians and the vocal music. You could share that. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. And yes, I have few people that I have in mind that I would love to invite as a guest on my podcast. So uh, until I leave, I will meet those people who are mostly expats lived here. So once I leave Mongolia, I think I might turn the podcast into maybe this format, and I might invite those artists, Mongolian artists. That is a very good suggestion. Thank you very much. So I know that people are interested in this type of guests. So I,
Absolutely. Please let me know when you publish it, and I would love to hear that. Next question: how to make money?
have to make money. Um, I believe that everyone has some kind of thing that I can teach for others. So for me, I would. Oh yeah, I learned how to bake a sourdough bread during the pandemic. So first thing I can do if I have, I don't know, I'm completely unemployed and something like that, I would bake a bread and then sell it.
Oh, so what do you do now apart from Modern Mongolia podcast?
I'm working as a freelance researcher. So at the moment I'm doing a research on Mongolian diaspora for the IOM, International Organization for Migration. So I'm working on that. This is uh, the contract research. So after this I'm planning to go back into the academic research.
Very interesting. So how does that work? Do they give you grant, or what are the conditions, or how do you reach them, or how does the deal unfold?
Yes, in the academic arena, it yes you when once you are specialized in certain topic or area, you look for the grants, and if you actually there are a lot of opportunities if you look for fellowship and cooperation, and there are a lot of organizations that would be very open to work with the researcher or academic. So any type of universities will can welcome you and host you, and also you can go for grants. And I love anthropology because it gives a lot of freedom, because as an anthropologist you can even become an artist, because like I know a lot of I know some artists who are doing that. For example, they're um, printing the microscopic image on the cloth, and they're creating a cloth, etc. Yeah, that's why it's very flexible to go into any direction.
How is the process? Do you suppose somebody who's just curious? Okay, I like to do research, I like to talk to people, but don't know how to start or where to start from. What do you tell them?
You just you just go and start. It's just like people who are doing TikToks, go into the, like, just saying to the person like, I'm doing this TikTok, can you do this or something like that, just asking questions. And I feel like this is very much like doing anthropological field work, because for example, when once okay, I'm researching this kind of community of okay, vegans. Then I would just go to them and I would introduce myself. I'm a researcher who is researching this veganism, and I would love to be part of the community. And I will the first phase is to build a rapport and create a relationship. So this takes time. So you just need to show up every day and just become a friend. And but of course you should be transparent that you are gonna research them, and then it starts there. So actually anthropological fieldwork takes time, because in order to research them and also represent them, write about them in and to have the um, true truthful information, it takes time. So the starting point would be just to go up to the people and start introduce yourself and just hang out with them.
So, suppose for this podcast, if instead of sponsorship, I want to get a grant, because in a way, as we discussed, it's a whole good database of anthropology or culture and the human condition in every country around the world. So, whom do you think would be interested in giving a grant, or whom do you think would benefit, and how can they do that?
Um, that can, yeah. Um, yes, anthropology is also about documenting the cultures. So I think you can go look for the grants that will support the documentation of any type of the cultures. And mm, okay, I don't know if about the podcast, but for example, just to give you an idea, um, there is also ethnographic and anthropological films you can make, or you can make a book out of it, of the information you collected. And mm, because you are talking to all different kind of cultures, uh, I think it might be hard to approach just one particular organization that studies a certain just one culture. So it might be good to approach to the international organization that work with a lot of different cultures and different researchers that are working in different areas. I will think about it actually. I will think about how you can um, take a grant or develop into the very interesting project about different cultures.
Yeah, because I want to do and be very authentic to the conversation and finding the information. If I just focus on sponsorship or ads, it becomes a little commercial. Um, so that's why I was wondering if there's a other way. to do it more like a grant instead of a marketing or a sponsorship collaboration. So yeah, let's think about it. I'll be in touch with you.
Yep. Yeah.
Next question to you.
Okay, let's go on to the next.
Yes. Next question to you. What does art mean to you?
Art. Oh, that is very big question. um, art for me, okay, is it is some kind of the creation, painting or music, poem, whatever, film. It is some kind of creation that is that speaks about a personal story, and yeah, I think that is art. So I believe that everyone can actually do or create art.
What does art do for a society?
Mm, it functions as a mirror, and it reflects the society. So you can see yourself or see the society from the art. So it's a mirror.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I yeah, for Modern Mongolia podcast, that's enough for me.
Fantastic. What is the life changing advice you have received?
Um, Life changing advice. Oh,
Or what is your favorite advice?
um, uh, wait, do I not get any advice from other people? I can't think of it. Um,
It can be a quote that you read, or a lyrical line, or a poem that you really liked and you keep suggesting yourself.
that's right. So recently I've been listening a lot of the podcast about the the spirituality and the manifestation and being conscious. So very interesting and useful thing that I've been thinking is just just to allow myself uh, to be myself, like uh, to be honest, I actually struggle with like a self kind of resentment. Like I always think that, okay, I'm doing this wrong, like all kinds of that bad thing about myself. So I'm just learning to be just accept myself as myself. So um, yeah, I think that was the idea, but I don't remember the exact line. Line. I'm sorry.
Accept yourself as you are.
uh, with along with the things that you don't like about yourself.
Love yourself.
Self.
Yeah, I can totally relate with that. I struggled with issues of self esteem and confidence, or too many things, or un, un, not having a clarity on what to do because of so many options and interests.
That is exactly, yes, same for me. Yep. And I used to think that is very bad. uh, Also, there is a Mongolian phrase, traditional phrase, that if you go after, maybe it's not Mongolian, uh, if you go after two rabbits, you will have nothing, like something like that. I think there are similar phrases. And yeah, when also I also have a lot of different kind of interests and a lot of different things that I'm doing at the same time, um, simultaneously. So I used to think that that is very bad because I'm not good, very extremely number one on any of them, but I still love all of them and I want to do everything, all of them. and I used to think that's very bad, but I'm starting to change that. Why not? Like, I don't have to be expert on everything, but it's important to just explore what I have an interest in and what I'm curious about.
Listening to you, I feel like you're talking about me. I just feel I can relate so much with you.
Yes, in this side, I think then we are very similar. Yes, then you understand. Yes.
So, let me tell you what I have discovered or what has helped me. There's this book called Grit. I will send you the link. Just text me. It tells you about finding purpose and how to persevere, how to do it consistently. So, persistence is not a problem with me. Once I decide something, I keep doing it, and I'm very religious, or I'll do it properly. But finding purpose was the issue. There are so many different things, but which one should I stick to, or which is the one thing I should do? Because then you like, I'm doing this, what about the other thing? I'll miss that out, or what? And as you said, doing all the things together makes you a jack of all trades and a master of none, but it's still better than one. That's the complete quote. But I am going on a way to narrow down and go to one particular thing that I could do. So I started this podcast. I just want to do this till I talk to everybody in the world. There are many other interests that distract. Okay, I could do this. I'm wasting time, and it also comes in the way of regret. So I'm doing this, but I didn't do that. So I'm regretting not doing that. But that would even happen if I did that. I would regret about not doing this. So it's just better to just keep doing what one thing you're doing. And I decided to keep doing one thing for next 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and see how it unfolds.
So while you were sharing your thoughts on it, I just remembered the line actually, and it is from the book Master and Margarita, and it says just um, the license paper will not make you a writer. Only the fact that you write means that you're a writer is something like that. So the idea is that you don't have to, the go to the university or receive the degree to become something. So I believe in that. You can be an amateur or unprofessional, as people say, but if you do something or pursue something completely out of love and out of sincere curiosity, that you have this calling from your heart, then you can be anything. You can be anyone. And for example, I love, the Shade, the singer, and also, the Hans Zimmer. They are not professionally trained, but they are the masters of their craft, and that is what I love about, like, that line that I just said.
Beautiful. You just need to be an artist, you need to do art. If you want to be a musician, do music. You don't need a certificate or somebody to claim that you're doing that. Amazing. A lot of interesting things to stay connected even in the future. All right. Next question to you. What is the most priceless gift you have ever received?
Mm, um, I think that's a gift of just living as I am right now, as this person, like gift of life, I would say. And this is very spiritual idea, and I just think this is um, I listened to this podcast, Know Thyself, and in this podcast they talk about all this, this universal consciousness and being grateful, etc. So I just believe living as a human on this earth is a great gift. It might sound a bit cliche, but I think that is so. Oh, and I also, one of my friend from France, he gifted me this secondhand film camera, and like about a year ago, and he encouraged me to pursue this new interest of me, and I'm completely in love with film photography now. So that was very unexpected gift that was given to me, and I'm now pursuing this photography also.
Do share it and we'll follow your film photography. Next question. What is on a bucket list next?
Okay, bucket list next is I'm planning to do. Oh, okay. Okay, I thought something that will have that I'm planning to do like a year later, but I just thought something else that I'm going thinking of to do early, like in a month or so. The bucket list is to learn how to do backflip. I don't know why I have this idea that I want to learn that, and yes, I live near to this sport complex that they train there. There are some stunts, and I'm thinking of going there and asking them to just to teach me how to do backflip. Yeah, that's on my bucket list.
That'd be so cool. I can do backflip or in a swimming pool, but I cannot do on land. Will be nice to learn even on land, right? What gets you excited about the future?
Mm, I'm excited about finding my place to call home, very own home, because right now I'm not a homeowner. I'm living with my mother actually, and I'm excited about having just creating my very own space. So I don't know where it would be first, where it would be, but in the far future or in few years, I'm thinking about this beach place that I said before. So just excited about having my own place and space that I can be myself and create something, things that I love.
What is your biggest regret or disappointment?
Okay. Um, the regrets. Yeah, there are few regrets that I have because I am. Yes, yes. One is in the relationship area because I'm not very good at articulating my feelings to others. So there are one person I really uh, like I had a crush on, and I didn't actually express myself. So um, then I have this regret that, oh, I should have said and expressed myself. So I have this kind of regret. I'm trying to like improve in my expression with words, etc.
Podcasting makes you really confident, like in putting your words and expressing your thoughts. So you're a step closer to that with Modern Mongolia.
So I hope so. I'm still learning, and um, that is actually quite challenging for me because yes, I think of course it's a skill that you learn, and I'm kind of in the phase of developing this skill. I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes I just completely mess up the message that I'm trying to give, but that's fine. But that's fine. Yeah.
Hmm. I I relate to that as well. I didn't think much about it, but sometimes it feels like there's something you're protecting, or there is something that you are very unsure about within yourself, or it feels a little awkward, or maybe something you might regret later on, or not regret, or like should I do it or not do it in a way. Okay.
Think no matter what, yes, this those kind of feelings are temporary, and so I believe that we should just keep doing what we do, doing the podcasts and try um, talk to people, and then after a while it will be just nothing. Like it will be very easy to me. I believe that, but I think you're being doing it very good and being very consistent and challenging yourself to talk to different type kind of people from different cultures, and it's going very well. Actually, as a podcaster like you, I'm learning a lot from you. Just starting from the email you sent, like I'm learning. Okay, this is how it's done, and like I'm learning a lot from you. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I feel glad to be useful and be helpful. Feel free to ask me anything. Even for the viewers, like you can feel free to reach out and ask about anything. Okay. Hope that improvement happens even in the relationship side. Okay. For me. Uh, Next is, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, for fun. Mm, I like to do this kind of last minute decisions for some short travel destinations, and those are kind of unexpected, and some it might be very end up very good, but sometimes it doesn't end up very good. It become very bad trips, something like that. So for fun, I might do that, and also just I just like to go out for a walk and maybe take some photos, and just I just love listening to music and walk. Yes.
Hmm. What is your favorite movie?
Uh, okay, one that is always come to my mind is Revolutionary Road. It's a quite emotionally difficult movie to watch. It's about the couples dynamics, and it's quite hard, and I always cry at the end. And there is Leonardo DiCaprio and uh, Kate Winslet together, and I love that movie.
What's the name?
Revolutionary Road.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is that is okay. Yes, I already mentioned Master and Margarita. That is my favorite book. It is fun. Yeah,
What is your favorite food? You already mentioned that, but just
I love egg. Just egg.
why in what type?
All type, fried or um, omelet.
Which is the top? Which is the
Which is the top? Um, I would say scrambled.
okay? What are your thoughts on NFT and crypto and Web3?
Uh, Looked into your Instagram. I thought that you were quite into the NFTs and very knowledgeable of that. But in few years back, it was kind of like emerging everywhere, and also there was a lot of coins were launched and NFTs, also NFT marketplaces in Mongolia. I thought, okay, I think this is I should know about something about it, and I should somehow at least gain some NFT, something like that. First I thought, then all of a sudden it seems like all the fuss is gone now, and I don't know. I I think I don't see. Still, I don't see the meaning of the NFTs, because people still believe the real life, like a real tangible art, is more because you can see it and you can make like there's a whole big world around it. So NFTs are at the moment seems like quite in here, especially in Mongolia now, have uh, have bad reputation actually.
Hmm. The reputation is going bad around the world because of scams and all these things. Because of sudden hype it had got, and then it just went bust. But what I believe NFTs are fundamentally a contract. They just authenticate who is the rightful owner of that particular asset. It can be digital asset like a photograph, a music, or a video, or even a podcast, or even a physical painting. Even a physical painting can be a NFT. So it is the contract at the fundamental level, and the use cases will come gradually because many of the artists are just doing digital works now, right? So in the future, for them to authenticate it, to sell it.
And emerge again as a trending as a trend, and I think this will never like go away, or it will emerge again as just like a Bitcoin.
Yeah, it filters out the bad actors who are still there, are the ones who continue. It is somewhat like the internet boom and or the dot-com boom in 10, 20 years ago. So we still use internet, we still use, and it has just evolved better from there. So that is the trajectory what I'm looking here.
I just think um, it's better to just educate myself on NFTs and crypto. So at the moment, I am not actually not well interested and also not very educated. But I think I should read more about it. So
I mean, it's you'll be all right even if you don't read. I had this question just to know, like, what impact it is having around the world or what people feel about it. Okay, so it was amazing to talk to you today. Thank you so much for coming and sharing amazing insights of modern Mongolia with us, and even the traditional one. We got to see a lot and talk to a lot about anthropology and music and all other aspects. Thank you. What are your some concluding remarks or words for the audience?
um, thank you too, Tanmay. Thank you very much. It was a completely new experience for me, and I love experiencing something new. And like just as I go through scheduling the interview and talking to you, I learned a lot also as a podcaster, and I appreciate that a lot. And for the audience, I would love, um, I think people should also listen to your podcast because your guests seem also very interesting, and people can get knowledgeable about the different cultures that they don't know through your podcast, and it seems very interesting. And also, if you are interested somehow in Mongolia, you can go to the Modern Mongolia podcast. And I am planning to upload more episodes coming next week. So that's it. And just thank you. Just it's just amazing to just interact with people this way and discover how we have this some things similar and some things different. It was just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you partially asked my next question also, but anyways, I'm going to ask it. How was your experience of this 2.5 hours? How do you feel? Any feedback or anything you have for me?
Yes, I had. I really liked that you gave the general instruction on how the podcast was going to be about. There will be three parts, and this will be about this, and that was very informative. That I can have the idea that okay, this is how it's going to be for this podcast. But also the questions was very also unexpected, and personally, I actually observed myself where I should work on myself expressing or like answering the questions, just having conversation. I just learned that I need to improve more, and the whole experience was, I think, very smooth, and everything went well.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy that that had happened. That is one of the other reasons for the show. I mean, these questions are sometimes even I like to ask myself and see how it unrolls. But so glad to receive your feedback. How do you say goodbye in Mongolian language?
Okay, we say pairte in Mongolian, and pairte.
Bye. This episode is brought to you by Tanmay Shah. That's me. Best way to support this show is by sharing this with your friends and dropping a comment and review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can become my patron and a sponsor. That's not all. You can buy Rocklaz merchandise and NFTs and much more. See all the links in description for details.